Well, greetings, fellow travellers. I'm back here at Bang Wad today, and it's the 19th of December. It's quite a nice day. Looks as though it's going to be warm today. But as you can see from all of these shelters that were being set up the other day, and some of the other stuff around. Yesterday there was a big run here around the lake. A number of times it becomes a marathon, it just depends on what you choose to do. But unfortunately this last couple of days a big storm front has gone through, so it was like torrential rain all day yesterday, so probably won't put the runners off, but it would have been a real wet do for them, and I expect a lot of people, the less fanatical of them, never turned up. Anyway, I've come down here today to have a walk around, and I decided to start my Christmas rant today. I had a big long list of things to rant about, but as usual with my advancing years I've forgotten most of them, so I'll have to start it here and carry on with the video when I've thought of something else that annoys me. But there were quite a few on my list, although I made the mistake of not writing them down. So for me, it's not very nice on the island right now. It's overcrowded. When COVID was over, but before the tourists started coming back, they reckon it would take a couple of years to get back to pre-COVID figures of tourism. Now, I'm not sure if they are back or not, but you'd think so, because Patong Beach is just awash with people, mainly bloody Russians. I mean, I never had anything against the Russians before, normal Russians. I'm sure I don't have anything against now, but with the amount of carnage that's going on in the Ukraine now, with Russia invading a sovereign country in the eyes of most of the world and trying to flatten it with missiles and whatever, it doesn't make me feel very comfortable being surrounded by half the Russian population dodging the draft. It's all the people you see there are all of a type, they're young family units, and a man, a woman, and one or two young children. And it's obvious they've got out of Russia while they can to avoid getting drafted to go to the war. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. Also, my prediction that I would actually hate what this place was going to turn into once COVID was over came true in a big way. I long for the old days when I was the only white guy in town. Now there's nowhere to park my car. The roads are like death traps with all the I mean, it's bad enough with the normal Thai drivers, but with all the inexperienced holiday makers here, and those people, you know, thinking that they're in some theme park for adults, which obviously they are. This place is like Disneyland for adults. The roads are a very, very dangerous place to be, and added to that, the state of the road over Patong Hill from Katu, where we are now, to get to Patong Beach. They still haven't finished it, but it looks as though those repairs are going to be finished by Christmas, which is only 3 or 4 days away. I went over there yesterday, and it was a ruddy nightmare to get over that hill. I can't describe it. You know, you need to see a GoPro video of getting over it, but I don't really feel like shooting it. But anyway, within 3 or 4 days now it might be finished and it won't be so bad. But of course then once they finished it, all the heavy trucks and buses will be going over it as well. It just comes down to how many cars and motorbikes and buses and whatever there are, and vans there are on the road now. Thanks to the number of tourists coming back, of course. You like the silk scarf? I saw someone on another YouTube channel. Actually, it was Tim Newton, who I mentioned before, a resident Thai news reporter. Used to work for the Tiger. Anyway, what am I saying? He was wearing a silk scarf which was an Aussie flag, and I thought, oh, that looks nice. I used to like wearing silk scarves in my flying days and in my motorcycling days. Let's try that. Anyway, talking about our friends the Russians, Ukrainian colours. Let's see what they make about that, shall we? And as well as being a refuge for Russian draft dodgers, this place has also become a refuge for Chinese triad bosses. And a new scandal has recently broke where some of them have been nabbed due to overstaying their visas, but it further opened up that some of them had got phony visas that they'd paid for, and this opened up a whole bloody nest of worms, because it turns out that certain immigration officials have been paid lots of money to give them phony visas. How does this affect you, Graham, you might ask? Well, of course, there's a real knee-jerk reaction on this one, where everyone's visas now are potentially becoming suspect. I must admit, knock on wood for good luck, it seems to be visas of people that have obtained them via embassies out of the country using visa agents. But I'm a bit nervous about this visa agent business, because I use visa agents to obtain my visa, because doing it yourself is a bloody faff. And with visa agents, it's expensive, but it's easy. So yeah, so this could affect me, methinks. Anyway, a load of these guys have been suspended and pending prosecution. So I know they've already tightened up a lot on visas issued from embassies abroad. So let's hope that it doesn't affect us, you know. Thanks very much, China, again. It's amazing, the Chinese people can't come here because they're all locked down with COVID, which is ironic, seeing that China seems to be running alive with COVID now. It doesn't seem to have done any good, does it? But the Chinese triads managed to get here okay. Absolutely bloody crazy. A new pet dislike of mine, people driving little cars. They always seem to get in front of me, usually little white ones. Although I had a little grey one this morning coming here. There's people that drive little cars are usually little people, you know, with indecisions and oh my God, where am I? And I didn't quite learn how to drive properly, but it's just enough to get me down the road, that sort of thing. And every time I get one of them in front of me on the road, they slow down. As soon as they're in front of me, they bloody well slow down and they start faffing. Oh my God, where am I? I'm lost. Do I need to go over here or do I need to go over there? And oh my God, Jesus H. It really bloody pisses me off. Every time. It's every bloody time. Anyway, gotta be nice. Try not to. I didn't bib this one this morning, but I did burn round him. It was a foreigner, he was a bloody Falang. I'm still prevaricating over what to do. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. I wanted to go into Patong to shoot my Christmas walk and my Christmas video in Molly's bar. But it's murderous in Patong at the moment, absolutely bloody murderous, and getting there. I could always go on the bus, providing I go in the daytime, because the bus doesn't run till after 6, but I'm not 100% sure. I know the bus is running, but I'm not 100% sure where it picks up now, because I haven't seen it stopping in its normal place at the bottom of our road for a long time. And yesterday I went to Central and waited for it in the car because I've seen it there, and I was lucky because it was there when I arrived. So I fell in behind it, and as soon as it set off, it started to follow a new route. It turned left almost immediately after Central and started, looks as though kind of heading up the back roads and into the hills. Maybe it's got one of these alternate routes down to over to Patong, because the road over Patong Hill still isn't finished, and it may be not a good idea, not enough space for that bus to go over. Anyway, the upshot of that is that it doesn't pick up at the bottom of my road, so the bus may be out. And Patong is absolutely murderous at the moment. A, getting over that hill, and B, the traffic is monstrous with all the people here. And C, well, doing a beach walk on Christmas Day is out in Patong Beach. Absolutely no way. The place is swamped with goddamn Russians and whatever, you know. I might as well just go to the Crimea and do a beach walk on the banks, on the shores near Odessa. is to do that. So I'm not doing that. So it's open yet as to what I do. I might go to Rawai. It's easy to get to Rawai from here. You just go the other way, and Rawai is the first beach you come to. And so I might do that and then go the whole way round as a bike ride, you know. I might do that. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, that's up in the air and open for question at the moment. The house next to me has been vacant for weeks and weeks now, but I knew the axe would have to fall sooner or later, and I've been silently scared about it, because who knows who your new neighbours are going to be. I mean, my last neighbour in there rented that house for almost the whole time I've ever owned it, and she was great. She was okay, but the new ones, you know, are they going to have loads of kids? Are they going to have goddamn shit dogs? What the hell, you know? So I've been quaking in my boots, metaphorically speaking, for some time, but the axe had to drop sooner or later, and sure enough, a new guy has moved in. He's only been there about a week, and so therefore at the moment the jury is out. And I'm never ever going to say he's all right, because that would be, you know, like the kiss of death, wouldn't it? That would doom me to misery. But right now the jury is out. But he's a foreigner like me. I don't know what country he comes from. But anyway, so far so good. Knock on wood. We'll wait and see. So that's that. On the other side, you know, the arsehole that built the swimming pool in his backyard during the COVID shutdown, and gave me about 4 or 5 months of absolute misery. I couldn't live in the house in the daytime. 4 or 5 months I had to go out every day because of the noise, you know. And so, you know, he'll never be one of my favorite people. But at least building a swimming pool in there, and that pool must have cost about 2 million. I mean, it's not a little pool. He's built a bloody water park within the limits of his land in there. It cost about 2 million baht, I should think. It's about $60,000. And he'll never recoup that money on that house, but at least it's prevented what could have been worse, which is, because that is a double-sized plot. It goes right the way through from one road to the other, where most of our plots only go halfway, and there's a house behind us, if you see what I mean. At least it's another thing that the previous owner could have done, was to sell off that half of his plot for another house, which would have been much worse for me. So at least it's prevented that. And so yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, what next? I'm quite pleased in a way. I got this new rig for my camera for vlogging. It's I saw it on a YouTube video, and previously I've been using this crap plasticky mini tripod for doing this and for setting up on the pub bar, etc, etc. This guy recommended a small rig metal mini tripod with a what do they call it, an Arca Swiss mount on it and a ball head. So that looked as though it was a good quality and it would lock down, because this camera, with the weight of the Sigma 16mm lens that I often use, becomes a bit top heavy, and that tripod just couldn't handle it. It would just flop around all over the place. But in addition to that, he recommended a cage for this camera, again made by Small Rig, because this camera is tiny, and the disadvantage of tiny is it's difficult to hold on to if you're using it as a camera for photography. But it also adds added protection, and it gives you different mounting points for lights and different mics and God knows what else, you know. So that was, and the whole rig itself is the other half of the Arca Swiss mount, so it just pops on top of this tripod, solid. You can take it on and off in a couple of seconds, and easy to change the batteries and whatever. So I bought that. So I bought both of those. I was going to buy myself, I was going to say a gimbal for my present for Christmas, but I decided it was roughly half the price if I ordered it from the States via Amazon. So I put all 3 of these on this order, and well, at least she's not Russian. And when I pressed the button and placed the order, it seemed everything was okay. But a couple of hours later, I got an email saying, find another form of payment because your credit card has refused payment. Why? Credit card always works perfectly in Thailand for me. Anyway, it turns out that the credit card company had sent me a text and an email saying, Amazon have just placed this order, is it you? And I'm supposed to reply to this, say, yeah, it was me, which I did. And then they promptly cleared the order, but then I was left in kind of limbo. You know, I didn't know whether the order was going to go ahead or not, and I waited 2 or 3 days, nothing changed, no emails saying it's shipped or it's being packed or anything. So did a bit more research, and I noticed I could get these 2 cheap Small Rig items from Lazada here locally. So I attempted to cancel them off my Amazon order, and that worked fine. And I ordered them from Lazada, and you can see I'm using them now. Meanwhile, the Amazon order, it has been shipped now, but it's not due to get here till about the 3rd of January. So I would never have got anything if I hadn't have cancelled these bits and ordered them locally. I'm not too worried about the gimbal not arriving until January. I've got what I need for, you know, just simple walking around like this in a pub shoot. The lens I'm using here has got internal stabilization, and this is a good little tripod for putting on the bar. Of course, I've got to find a bar to put it on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but I'm sure that will work itself out. So anyway, I think it's worked out for the best. I like to rant about it, but you know, Amazon are very good in shipping out here. They've already got my address here in their database, so I don't have to do anything special, and the import charges aren't all that high, so I can't complain. They're pretty good. So anyway, that's that one off the list. So what else have I got to complain about? Well, nothing really. It's a pretty short rant video. I've dispensed with, you know, noisy neighbours, and I don't know if I've talked about dogs, but I just bloody hate dogs. I really loathe dogs. Sorry to upset all you dog lovers, but to me they're dirty, they're just mobile toilets. The whole world is a toilet for a dog. And I hate the noise they make, you know, bark, bark, bark noise. Why can't they be like cats? Just meow a little bit. But, there's one guy that lives in our road. He's got about 6 of them in his garden. He's got 2 biggish ones which make horrible barking noise, and he's got about 4 little rat dogs which I hate almost as much. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'd love to get my hands on those dogs, but unfortunately I can't, because it so happens that that is Noi's best friend, and he has been good to me in the past in certain issues, and I just have to hate his bloody dogs in private, you know. But luckily he's about 4 doors down from me, so I'm spared the full misery of when they all break into song if someone walks past. But believe me, it's nothing compared to living in a Chinese village, which I used to do back in the 90s, in the mid-90s, Clearwater Bay in the New Territories when I was working in Hong Kong. Trying to get any sleep in that place was impossible, because sort of every house had dogs, because Chinese people love dogs, not only to eat them, but in certain parts of China, which I'm all for. But you know, every Chinese place seems to have a dog for security, and also there's loads of stray dogs going around. And it's living in Asia all these years that have really turned me off. I didn't always hate dogs, but being surrounded by them, especially packs of stray dogs, they're not my animal at all. But it was murderous living in that village, because you'd lay awake at night knowing that sooner or later one dog is going to start, and then another one will chime in, and it will go all the way around the village like a Mexican wave. And then it will finally, after about 5 minutes, it will get back to where it started, and they'd all shut down like crickets in trees. And but I'd be laying there waiting for the next one. Sure enough, a few minutes later another one would bark, and then the Mexican wave would go around the village again. This was in the days before I'd really discovered earplugs, and so nowadays it wouldn't really bother me too much. The earplugs would shut it all out, but in those days it was just horrible. It's no better if you live in an apartment, because Chinese people have dogs even if they live in a 1-room apartment in the projects, what we in the States call the projects. Blocks of flats in England, tower blocks. There might only be 1 apartment or 1 bedroom, but they've usually got a tiny little balcony, and the dog lives on that, eats, sleeps and shits on that, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm getting close to the end of this little stroll, so luckily my battery lasted out. So anyway, I think this is the end of my my Christmas rant for Christmas 2022. So I wish you all a happy Christmas and a happy New Year, and I'll see you soon, hopefully from whatever bar I manage to find that I can get into. Cheers.